Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Here is a game that 8-year-old me would have killed for. A cooperative dungeon crawler in which you and your friends will be playing through scenes from the movie Aliens. Strap yourselves in and make sure you're still wearing trousers. We're in for one hell of a ride. Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core is a cooperative dungeon crawler with a campaign length that you can actually finish without the aid of a national lockdown. Over 3 missions lifted straight from the movie Aliens, your badass fire team of Marines and this unarmed child will be tasked with a simple objective, mainly getting to the exit before you all get torn to pieces.
Each character has 2 sides to their board, a hero side for those controlled by the players, and a simplified, slightly shittier grunt side for the NPCs who will largely be given orders by the highest ranking characters. Just like in the film, Gorman is a bit rubbish, but he is a lieutenant, and that means he can direct 3 grunts into perfect firing positions, or put them in harm's way to be murdered horribly.
Every day really is an adventure in the Colonial Marine Corps. At the start of each mission, your squad will be tooled up with state-of-the-art smart guns, pulse rifles, flamethrowers, sharp sticks and harsh language, and you'll lay waste to the initial xenomorph incursions. However, as turns tick by, you'll be expending ammunition, you'll be using your special abilities, and your characters will start to get tired. And the alien threat won't let up, it'll only get more and more dangerous. You'll have to work together, you'll have to move fast, and you'll also have to run a nice balance between risk and caution if you're going to stay alive.
Your resources, ammunition and stamina are all represented by this, the endurance deck, which sits there acting like a doomsday clock, counting down to your inevitable demise. Each time you fire anything more powerful than a pistol, when you use special abilities or encounter hazards, you exhaust cards from this deck. If there are no cards to exhaust, then you start to discard them. If you have no cards to discard, you immediately lose the game. In addition to this, after you complete a mission, half of your discarded cards are removed from the endurance deck for the rest of the campaign. It is brutal, and you have to manage this deck wisely.
Just like they did with Spartacus and Firefly, Gale Force 9 absolutely nailed the theme and aesthetic. This game drips with authenticity, and what's more, mechanically, it works beautifully too.
Case in point, in between missions, you'll gather the remaining endurance deck cards and sort through the equipment and weapons that you still have and decide how to best equip your surviving squad mates, which is evocative of a pivotal scene in the movie where the characters are planning their last stand. Genius.
I would like to see the
Aliens. Fair enough, Werner. Let's talk about everyone's favourite nightmarish Geiger bastards. At the end of each turn, you'll draw cards from the motion tracker deck, and blips representing alien movement will be placed at spawn points on the map, and in subsequent turns they'll creep closer and closer to your characters. But it's only when you get line of sight on them do you reveal how many aliens there are. It could be 1, in which case Hudson here could easily blow it away, or it could be 5, in which case, game over man, game over. It makes for an incredibly tense Space Hulk flavoured experience, and again, it evolves the claustrophobic fear from the movie. You are trapped in a tight space, and they are coming for you.
When the inevitable happens and an alien gets within cuddling range of one of your Marines, Another Glorious Day in the Core has another great trick up its sleeve, and that's giving the players agency even in the face of their own demise.
When an alien attacks a Marine, every other character within line of sight can provide defensive fire to try and kill them. That's great, your friends can save your skin, it's cinematic, it's awesome, it's heroic. If they fail, you roll a die to defend, rather than the alien rolling to attack. If you roll under your defense score, you're fine. If you fail your defense roll, then you're knocked down and at risk of getting captured. If you roll a 10 or higher, you are killed outright.
Also, if a character does get captured, you have the option of running a side mission to try and rescue them and get them back for the rest of the campaign. Do you get any extra resources to carry out this mission? No. So it is a discussion that you'll have to have. And if it's your character that's been captured, oof, that table talk is going to be delicious.
The fragility of your characters, the creeping, relentless tide of aliens, and the ever-diminishing endurance deck make Aliens Another Day in the Core a tense and exciting experience. You'll start to feel dread as the board seems to be nothing but blips and writhing beasts, and your aim dial starts to get dangerously close to 1. Oh, not even mentioned the aim dials, have I? Rather than having a static attack score, each character has one of these nifty aim dials. This handily displays the number you need to roll to kill an alien. After you fire, you reduce it by 1. And then most weapons allow you to fire again, and then you reduce it by 1. Again? Or do you want to save some accuracy for defensive fire when the aliens get a bit too close for comfort? Choose wisely. If you don't have the time or inclination to play through the campaign, there are several standalone bug hunt missions included. You'll start with pistols and gradually acquire better gear as wave after wave of xenomorphs storm onto the map. It's fine. It's not as engaging as the main campaign and can run a little long, but it is nice to occasionally grab a game in this genre off your shelf and not have to commit months of your life to it.
It's not all sunny in Hadley's Hope though. Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core does have one major flaw, and that is how fiddly the game can be depending on your player count. As well as managing your hand of cards, your character, their special abilities, their equipment and their aim dial, you also have to do the same for the NPCs. And then we get to the exhaustion deck where you're going to be drawing, revealing, recycling, exhausting and discarding cards a hell of a lot. And just as an aside, these cards, the quality isn't that great, and the amount of time you're going to be handling them, I really suggest sleeving them if you can. And then after that, at the end of each turn, you're going to be drawing from the motion tracker deck, which will result in you moving dozens of alien blips, alien tokens and alien miniatures. It's a lot to take on all at once.
With higher player counts, you can delegate a few bits to each player to make this more efficient, but if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, it can start to get grating to have to manage all of these bits. If you're playing solo board games tend to be quite an indulgent experience anyway, so your mileage may vary with regards to your own personal fiddle threshold.
Speaking of fiddly, all miniatures in this game require assembly. You can't play it straight out of the box, so you're going to have to get some clippers and some super glue, and you're going to have to go to work. And that's not all. I personally love assembling and painting miniatures, but the tails on the aliens are a monumental pain in the arse. You have been warned. Having said all of that, Dysart heartily recommends Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core. It's tense, it's thematic, and if you and your friends adore the source material, you probably own this already. If you can look past the fiddly nature of certain player counts, it is well worth your time and money. It's a fantastic experience. But wait, we're not done yet. Does Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core have expansions? You bet your ass it does. Up first, we have the Hazards and Assets pack. No, it's the Assets and Hazards pack. The Assets and Hazard pack replaces some of the tokens found in the base game with miniatures, things such as sentry guns and facehuggers. It's not essential by any stretch, but if you want to chuck an extra couple of quid into the game and make it look prettier, then go nuts. Next up, we have the Ultimate Badasses expansion. This slender box provides with more characters from the film, extra dice, and these experience cards which let you level up your characters in between missions. And you can also play as Burke, who nobody will want to play as. Ever.
While this expansion does not make the campaign longer, it does make it deeper and adds a decent amount of replay value. The experience cards are not character dependent, so you can add these abilities to anybody and create a vast amount of ability combinations. Some will be great, some won't really work, and some will see your character drawing an obscene amount of cards and chewing through the endurance deck like a motherfucker. This expansion also makes the campaign more forgiving. In the base game, if Hicks gets eviscerated in the first mission, you're a man down for missions 2 and 3. With Ultimate Badasses, you have a nice fresh substitute bench of meat bags to slot in, and this makes the rescue mission pretty much redundant. This is beginning to sound like I don't like this expansion, and that's not true. It breathes some new life into the base game, adds plenty of choice, and allows players to make more interesting decisions between missions. I don't tend to recommend expansions as essential, but let's just say when Aliens hits my table again, I'll definitely play with Ultimate Badasses.
And last but not least, we have the Get Away From Her You Bitch expansion. Although it's much too chunk for me to cover in this video, so I suppose it's both last and least. Anyway, in this expansion you get the APC, you get the Power Loader, you get the Alien Queen. We finally get to play as Bishop, we get more map tiles, we get bigger missions, extra missions, and it adds a competitive element, allowing one player to play as the aliens. I've not had enough time to get my teeth into it yet, but I would like to revisit this in a later video. Plus, it'll give me an excuse to get my teeth into the base game again with its full player complement. After lockdown ends, obviously, and my friends can arrive. I think I'll go wait for them now.